All right, well, let's finish up then with a final conversation of our man Jim Curtin, who he took Philly from being one of the most average MLS sides to the pinnacle of what is known as winning on a budget, right? He has had no reinforcements brought in. His goalkeeper of the year candidate gets hurt for like a third of the season. They sell his star striker with no replacement, and then he gets fired after not delivering another miracle. I believe in that definition, it's called scapegoat. There are reports that they blindsided him with the news and claims that Ernest Tanner is actually the issue, pushing all of his problems onto Jim Curtin. And eventually he was cast aside for publicly calling more, I'm sorry, for publicly calling for more investment into the Philadelphia Union. And I want to get your thoughts on the issue.
No, no, he's spot on that. Like that's not a question. I mean, this team is the same team year in year out every year, and maybe you kind of get comfortable with that because they've been good. So you don't need to go out and bring in a Messi. You don't need to go out and bring in some superstar. You have a good thing going. But then once you get into the situation where your key guys are injured, you sell on some of these star players, you have to be willing to reinvest. And when you're a team like Philly, that's a team that's ready to win. It's different than an Atlanta situation where you kind of like blow up the whole team and then you want to like take a little bit of time to reinvest. It's different with Philly. If you're just selling on Carranza, this is a good enough team to compete. You need to have someone ready to come in and be a replacement. And Barabo, I think, did a decent job. Actually, I'd say a pretty good job stepping into those shoes when Carranza was out. But I think you want more out of that. You're also losing Martinez. That's going to be a tough one to replace. So yeah, I mean, I think Curtin's spot on. I think he's going to be the belle of the ball, if you will, for head coach availabilities this summer. And if you're a team that's even thinking about firing your manager, maybe this is something that makes you take that step to move on and go into for the Jim Curtin race. Um, I hope he doesn't take a year off. I hope he jumps right back into it because I still think he's one of the best coaches in the league. So I hope he doesn't. Yeah, I hope he takes the opportunity somewhere else, preferably Atlanta, but I'll take anywhere, honestly. I'd like to just see him continue to coach.
Yeah, so for me, I would love to see him coach maybe somewhere in like the Bulgarian third division because we know if he goes with Atlanta, it's gonna be the end of any competition in the East for another 5 years. But no, listen, it's quite clear that this dismissal is probably the worst decision this club has made in a long time. Jim Curtin, to put it frankly, has worked miracles for this team in the last 5 to 7 years. They never quite got it done in the big moments, and we talked about this with the Inter Miami thing. But to be able to take the team that he had to multiple finals across MLS Cup, Deep Leagues Cup runs, U.S. Open Cup, having one single bad year, this one single bad year is not because Jim Curtin doesn't know how to manage a team. It's very, very clear that these owners are looking to show the fans like, look, guys, we're serious about the club. We didn't make the playoffs and we fired our coach. That's what they do in England, right? Like love us. We're trying to be much like it's so stupid that they don't actually realize that the problem is that they were being significantly outspent in key areas of their team. And we talked about this in the what went wrong. They have two designated players on their team after losing Carranza and one U22 player, and it's now two with Quinn Sullivan's new contract. But they had one U22 player for the year, and that guy hasn't even touched the first team. He barely touched the second team. There's no investment in the group. There's anytime anybody asks, it's like you're banished into the shadow realm. Like it's ridiculous the fact that they don't recognize that it's not, oh, Jim Curtin can't work with our player profile this one year after injuries hit and we don't reinvest and whatever. Not to mention, sorry, yeah, Jose Martinez gone after right around Leagues Cup. So you sold your two best players. Not even I totally forgot about him too. You sold your two best players without replacement. And you're
And
just like,
and your third best player is out injured.
yes. And you're just like, what's the
What's
problem?
the problem here?
Right? It's like that meme,
We need like
like
Blue's Clues to help him.
it's like that meme, right? You're all sitting around the table. It's like, what's the problem here? Jim Curtin, referees biased against Philly. Maybe we don't spend more, and then you throw him out the window because you're suggesting something that's just like, what are we doing? Now, like I said, Ernst Tanner, that's how I don't know if to pronounce his first name. It is so clear he's using Jim Curtin as a deflector for his inability to navigate the transfer market. Like, and that's a damn shame, right? His two biggest additions were what's his name, Joaquin Torres from Montreal, who didn't fit the system at all, and Andres Perea, who got moved on, right? I actually looked back on this before. Their biggest investments this year, you had Kai Wagner coming back, which, okay, good job. You didn't mess that one up, right?
Well, he also kind of helped them with that, with all the off the field stuff.
Yeah, so they didn't really have a choice, right? Isaiah LaFleur, who spent the entire year on Philly 2, Nick Pariano, homegrown signing, Philly 2, Sanders and Gabo played all of Philly 2 and then got sold back to Denmark. Never saw the first team. And Kai
I didn't
Wagner.
even know he got sold back.
Oh yeah, he got sold back like right at the end of the year. It was like remember this guy was described as the next Serge Gnabry. And he made like 17 appearances for Philly too, and then got sold back to the Denmark team that he came from. And Jameer Berdecchio, a 21-year-old right back on loan, who is probably not getting picked up and is sent back again. So of the five moves that they made, the only one that made any impact was Kai Wagner coming back. Everybody else didn't see the first team. Even with all these injuries that they had, none of the guys that they had made the first team because Ernst Tanner doesn't know how to use the transfer market properly. And instead of being like, yep, that's my fault, guys. I made a mistake and I brought in the bad players. It's Jim Curtin's fault because he couldn't make those bad players work. I hope Philly are in the basement of the East for the next 4 years. Like that's what they deserve for something like this. This is
They
stupid,
probably will be,
and
honestly.
they should be like and they shouldn't be shocked. And honestly, they deserve it. And not the Philly fans, but the Philly front office deserve this because this is criminal. And here's what else I hope. If he does stay in MLS, I hope he kicks the snot out of them every single time they play. Every time they play, I hope they just 4-0
I
because
mean,
this
probably
is
will. They probably will. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if McGlynn's out the door now. They
yeah.
clearly still won't spend money in the transfer market. Center back pair is only getting older. I mean, Gazdag can only score penalties. I mean, he's Pazdag for a reason.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding on that last one. But yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, he deserves better. I hope he gets better. And hopefully that's in Atlanta.
Oh God, it's just so disappointing because like I don't see Philly as a rival to Red Bull, but they did knock us out of two straight um, playoffs, and Curtin has done so well with this group. They were a great team under him. And again, if this was 2 years on, like he had a bad year this year, and then he didn't take this team from 11th into a playoff spot next year, kind of like I guess Pineda, you can say for lack of a better term, but guys who like were like, okay, this is your last shot, and if you don't get a hot start, you're gone. Then I was like, okay, maybe that's fine. But to let him go after one bad year when you didn't invest, your goalkeeper got hurt, and you sold players off without replacement, I think is stupid. And I hope that they are going to suffer for a couple of years for that.
I would say most likely. It felt like, in terms of the spending, it felt like they had kind of, hit diamond with Mark McKenzie and Brennan Aronson. And then they were like, all right, we don't need to spend anymore. We'll just get everybody from the academy now.
Yep. And those academy guys were not good enough. They just simply were not good enough. So yeah, we'll definitely have to see how it goes. And I don't know. It disappoints me a little bit, but